The iPhone Air is here, Apple's thinnest, lightest iPhone yet. I've been testing it in real world use, the design, the cameras, battery, and everything in between to see how it stacks up against Pro models in last year's phone. So whether you're thinking about upgrading or just curious about how the Air performs, let's dive in. Is incredibly thin, just 5.6 millimeters, and weighs about 165 grams, but it still feels solid and premium. Its grade 5 titanium frame gives it real rigidity, and the polished edges are comfortable to hold, though the back can feel a little slippery. Both the front and the back are protected by ceramic shield too, improving scratch and crack resistance, and Apple's internal layout is pretty smart here. So most of the processing power, like the camera and then sort of like the key hardware, sit in this top plateau right here, leaving almost the entire bottom just for the battery, and the result is a super just crazy thin phone, but yet still pretty durable. Pick it up and it almost feels futuristic, more like holding a piece of glass than a phone. The weight is perfectly balanced, so whether you hold it at the top or the bottom. The USB-C port is custom 3D printed to fit the slim design. Speeds aren't as fast as the Pro, but they're perfectly fine for like everyday use, and audio comes only out of the single top speaker, with the bottom grills acting as just microphones. The display is a huge highlight at 6.5 inches with ProMotion 120 Hz and up to 3000 nits of brightness, and the improved anti-reflective coating makes it easy to see in basically any lighting conditions. Always on display drops to 1 Hz to conserve on battery life while keeping information pretty visible, and honestly it's basically a full Pro like Apple display, like literally Pro phone display in this ultra thin and light form factor, and that's just wild. Apple also made sure that the thin design feels comfortable, the edges aren't sharp, and the buttons like the action button, camera control, and the volume rocker feel solid. I really like the shiny edges. It has that like stainless steel iPhone vibe from back in the day with the higher quality feel of titanium. It's just a really nice balance. The Air has a single 48 megapixel fusion rear camera with sensor shift stabilization, 2x optical quality zoom, and up to a 10x digital zoom, no ultra wide, no telephoto, and no RAW support. Photos honestly look excellent, natural color, sharp details, strong contrast, and wide dynamic range. Low light shots are decent, though night mode or flash helps when it's like really dark. In terms of video, the camera does support 4K 60, Dolby Vision HDR, though cinematic mode, log, and Pro RAW are still Pro only features. Here's a little video that I shot just like at my desk to give you a rough idea as to how the Air looks in terms of video quality. The front 18 megapixel center stage camera is excellent for selfies, vlogs, or video calls. It offers ultra wide framing, tracks subjects as like they move around, and even switches from horizontal framing when holding the phone vertically. Autofocus keeps things super sharp, and the dual capture mode lets you like record the front and the rear simultaneously, which is kind of cool. That is here across all the 17 like models, but it is still a pretty cool feature. Despite the slim frame, the Air delivers up to 27 hours of video playback, which is pretty similar to last year's 16 Pro, and in real world use like camera, working, messages, browsing, still leaves a pretty decent amount of charge by the evening. Now I am a bit of a heavier user. My phone is always at a high brightness. I'm watching videos, taking photos, and scrolling endlessly, of course. And last year I used the 16 Pro and I loved it. The battery wasn't as great as the Pro Max, of course, but it was still good enough for like a whole day of normal use. And I've basically experienced the same thing here on the Air. I've also really gotten used to charging my phone in like the car because of like Apple CarPlay, and also have like chargers all around my room and stuff. So I never really find myself like running for a charger. For people coming from older iPhones like the 12, 13, or 13 mini, the Air is an upgrade, bigger battery, more efficient processor, full day usability. But if you are used to a Pro Max, you are going to notice a bit of a difference. Some days I ended with like moderate battery left, but after like heavy use, like traveling around, going to like Toronto and back, for example, the battery was pretty drained by like the late afternoon. Charging is slower than the 17 and 17 Pro, which is a trade-off for that thin design. Still, it's practical, 50% in 30 minutes and about 25% in 12 minutes if you are from zero. Speaking of battery, today's video is sponsored by Baseus and their PicoGo fast chargers and power bank. First up, the PicoGo 67-watt charger, and don't let the small size fool you. It's TUV Rhineland certified, and Navitas GaN Fast Tech makes it one of the smallest 67-watt chargers out there. The flip-out plug is super convenient, and you get 2 USB-C ports plus 1 USB-A, so you can charge 3 devices at once. For context, it can take a MacBook Air to 42% in just 30 minutes. If you want something even smaller, there's also a 45-watt version, same sleek design, 2 USB-C ports, plenty of power for your phone or tablet, or both at the same time. Both chargers are smartly built. Dynamic power allocation lets you charge multiple devices safely, adds solid heat dissipation, graphene protection, and safeguards against overcurrent and overvoltage and short circuits, and you've got a super reliable compact charger. Size-wise, they're about the width of a passport or earbuds case. Literally throw them in any bag. They'll charge your laptop, phones, tablets, Switch, AirPods, you name it. Then there's the PicoGo mini magnetic power bank. It's tiny, 5,000 milliamp hour battery, smaller than a credit card, it's lighter than your phone, and packed with features. There's 15-watt Qi 2 wireless charging, 20-watt USB-C charging, and a flip-out kickstand for Netflix, TikToks, or video calls. Strong magnets keep it locked to your iPhone and works with MagSafe and most magnetic cases. It's built tough too. There's Tesla grade battery tech, durable aluminum shell, fingerprint resistant silicone, and curved edges. It's compact enough that it doesn't stick out past your phone, and even on smaller models like the iPhone Air, it's perfect for keeping your iPhone charged all day without even noticing that it's even there. If you're interested in any of the chargers, they will be linked in the description down below, and huge thanks to Baseus for sponsoring this video. The iPhone Air runs on Apple's new C1X modem with sub 6 GHz 5G and no millimeter wave, so depending on where you are, you'll most likely see standard 5G with occasional hits of 5G+. At least here in Canada, that's been my experience. In bigger cities like Toronto, performance is pretty solid, but in more like suburban areas, it does lag behind the Pro and base iPhone just a little bit. Is it noticeable day to day? Not really. Speed tests obviously show that it is slower, but for regular use, it feels fine. That said, I have had a few frustrating moments, like seeing 2 bars of 5G but nothing actually loading, while people like right next to me and like a restaurant or something are having no issues with their phones whatsoever. And since Canada really only has like 3 major like carriers, it's not like I can just blame my provider. I'm hoping it's just a software bug that Apple can patch up pretty quickly, because when your phone is struggling to connect, you can literally watch the battery just drain faster. Apple's N1 chip handles Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. Signals have been strong. Messing with my smart lights, like sitting on the couch for hours using Wi-Fi or using AirDrop, does feel faster than before. The Air is fully eSIM only worldwide, which frees up more space for a slightly larger battery. Most people will find eSIM seamless and appreciate the extra juice, but if you happen to swap SIMs often, it could be annoying. Of course, the iPhone Air isn't perfect. Apple had to make trade-offs to achieve this level of thinness. The bottom speaker is gone, the grills are now microphones, the only speaker is in the earpiece, so audio isn't as loud, bass is limited, and sound can feel a bit tinny at times. And if you turn your phone landscape for watching a video or gaming, all the sound comes from one side, so if you cover it like with your thumb, it just gets worse. During the day, it's not a huge deal since I use headphones most of the time, but at night when I'm like doom scrolling or watching YouTube, it is a little bit noticeable. At least like when I'm holding the phone vertically, like TikTok, like Instagram, I don't notice it. It's perfectly fine. I have my volume at like 50%, perfectly fine. As soon as you turn the phone and watch a like YouTube video, that's when you're gonna notice it. The USB-C port is limited to USB 2 speeds, which for most people that probably won't even matter, but for charging, it is also slower compared to the Pro or base models. Not a huge issue, but I guess it is worth noting. The A19 Pro chip is super powerful, but the thin titanium body does lack that vapor chamber cooling that is found in the Pro model. So during sustained use, the back does warm up slightly, like right below the camera plateau, like right here, it does get a little warm. It doesn't get crazy hot, but it's probably on par with like the 16 or 15 in terms of thermal management, but the chip is most likely getting thermal throttled when it starts to warm up. So like if you are like really pushing this phone, you're probably gonna see performance dips, but in terms of like just using the phone and holding it, you will never notice that it's getting warm because it's all the way up here and you're usually holding your phone like this, probably like this. Like you're never gonna feel it right here, which is kind of smart, I guess, on Apple's part. But yeah, you'll at least notice the thermal throttling. A single rear camera, no ultra wide, no telephoto. Computational photography does help, but zooming out requires you to basically step back, and zooming in basically means you just gotta move forward. And for some, it's fine. In a world where smartphones are often people's main cameras though, a single lens can feel limiting. Personally, I usually shoot all my stuff with like my Sony camera, so it's not a big deal for me personally, but if I didn't have Sony camera, like if this was my only sort of camera I kept on me, this could be a huge deal breaker. Battery life is subjective. Everyone uses their phone differently, charges differently, and keeps chargers in different spots. For me, it's basically the same as the 16 Pro. Full day of usage, though you will check the percentage a few times throughout the day. With chargers all around or portable battery banks like the ones from Baseus, it's hardly an issue, not a real sacrifice unless you compare it to the Pro Max. So am I switching? Yeah, I am. And honestly, this might be the most interesting iPhone Apple's made in a long time, like probably since the iPhone 10. Every time I pull it out of my pocket, people notice. The reaction is always the same. Wait, is that the new iPhone? Whoa, that's so thin. And when I let them hold it, it's like, holy, I can't believe how light this thing is. I can't believe this is a phone. Now, someone recently asked me if the wow factor wears off over time, and I'll be honest, kind of. When you're using it for a while and just like pull it out of your pocket, yeah, you start to get used to just how like thin and light this thing is. But here's where the wow factor just never goes away. It's the moment you unlock it and actually start to use it. It's because you're still getting a pro level experience, performance, screen quality, all in something that just feels like a sheet of glass. And that pairing just doesn't lose its magic. The single camera setup doesn't really bother me. As you probably already know, I shoot all my videos on my Sony cameras. So the iPhone is more of like a personal use camera for me, capturing quick moments when I don't want to carry any sort of gear around. And for that, one camera is honestly enough. Photos come out great, video is good enough for casual use, and honestly, I don't need much more from it. In fact, I've been using the Air more as a camera monitor than an actual camera itself. It's just so light, it's so thin, and the OLED screen hitting 3000 nits, it's actually perfect for attaching to my camera rig. Now, obviously that's a super niche sort of use case, but it works for me. Now, performance, yes, there is a little bit of thermal throttling. It can get warm, but it's still a flagship iPhone. It's running the A19 Pro chip, and the screen is the same pro level quality panel. Apps open instantly, heavier tasks like photo editing run pretty smooth, and the whole experience is fast and fluid. Honestly, it feels almost identical to using the 16 Pro. Sure, it doesn't reach like the 17 Pro level experience, but it's not supposed to. This thing is still incredibly capable. And here's where I think Apple nailed it: design balance. With the Pros, Apple usually pushes performance first and design has to sort of work around that, but the Air flips the equation. They designed this thing to be unbelievably thin and light, and they built the performance around it. It reminds me a lot when Apple switched the Macs to Apple Silicon. Like back then with the USB-C only MacBook Pros, they were so thin but struggled with power. Then Apple redesigned the lineup, made the Pros thicker for performance, but gave us the MacBook Air as the design first option. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. The Air is just the aesthetically driven model, while the Pro is just unapologetically performance first. But for now, I'm excited. This phone is fun to use, and that's not something I've said about an iPhone in quite a long time. Of course, it's just 2 weeks in, so things could obviously change, but I want to hear from you. Would you ever go for an iPhone Air? I know it's not the best bang for your buck. That's definitely the base iPhone 17 this year, which is basically like a Pro model at like a lower price, but would you ever try the Air? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and share it to a friend. And if you like Apple tech or desk setup related content, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.